even though I started the year with no Magnificent Seven names in my top five picks, I led with cash invested in money markets yielding 4% as my top pick entering the year. Nvidia now is getting to the point where after you get a numbers cut, which I think you're going to get soon, then that starts to look interesting because you've got inference demand still in, out a few years once you start to have some killer apps come out for the consumer, agentic AIs, or, you pick your favorite. That should help drive more investment through the end of the decade, but it doesn't mean you're not going to go through a digestion phase to start with.
And just as I was going to get ready to ask you questions about how to position ahead of the U.S. earnings season, we've got the Bill Ackman, investor, actually tweeting, warning that President Trump is losing business leaders' confidence. He's also saying an economic nuclear winter is possible unless there is a timeout on tariffs. What are we expecting from the business leaders, how they see their outlook? I mean, can they come up with an outlook at this point, given a lot of uncertainty around tariffs?
Well, that's why I started my preview for this year at the beginning of January with the phrase by Charles Darwin. It's not the strongest nor the most intelligent of the species that survives, but the one most adaptable to change. And that's how I started my forecast for this year. And that's actually how I ended the letter as well, to try to hammer that home. Because I think right now you're dealing with the changes in policy that are happening on an hour-by-hour, day-by-day basis. And unlike prior meltdowns that you've had in the market, such as COVID, or the global financial crisis, or the digestion phase following COVID for the Mag 7 stocks, which is why they were down 46% in calendar 2022, this is all sort of self-inflicted, right? If we walked in on Monday and President Trump said in the U.S., hey, I'm postponing tariffs for 90 days, I've struck these 5 deals. By the way, one of them is with TSMC to take over, foundry operations for Intel, and I'm repealing all the tariffs on Taiwan. This could reverse in a heartbeat. This isn't like you have a global pandemic that you only have time to sort through, or a housing market crash, or an overinvestment phase that's going to take years to work through. This is sort of a self-induced problem. So to your question, I think it's very hard for a CEO to do anything but sort of say, hey, I'm just going to wait. No. I'm not going to commit a lot of dollars in the near term until I know.
Fair enough.